It's the Go to Hell podcast. Strong opinions, weakly held. Starring Tim Curley, Colton Pierce. Now, let's join the show.
We got any trivia?
Yeah. We're going back to the well on the face-offs.
Oh, you're doing some...
I enjoyed that the last time.
I did too. I thought about it.
Oh.
I'm not changing. What I picked, but I do think I gave Smells Like Teen Spirit. I want to make it clear. That is a revolutionary song.
The guys that I watched that video for, so the other two were AI generated. Tonight's are all AI generated. So if you don't like the matchups, just you can have a problem with AI. I think AI did pretty good with some of these. But that was what they had for theirs that they were doing. I don't know where they got their head-to-head matchups. But I think they both didn't choose. They both chose, it was Man in a Box, right? For that one.
Yeah.
They didn't choose it because they were like, Kurt Cobain would have hated that song being popular. So it couldn't even choose it. So I don't think you would have, if you would have came back tonight and just would have been like, nah, like Kurt would have hated that. So
you can say this about a lot of songs. Do you think that song would have been as popular without music videos?
Oh, music videos. I don't think I've ever seen that music video. I thought you were going to say without Kurt dying.
Oh, I don't think it took Kurt dying. I mean, that song had already been entrenched. I mean, it might have added to it, but I don't.
Because if you ask me, and
actually, that's fair.
Because their
career might have gone a different path.
I have that standpoint on, and I love this artist, but I don't know if he is acclaimed by lots of people in hip hop, and I think that Tupac has really great stuff and moments. And stuff,
he's definitely.
But his death made him into this ethereal being in hip hop, where it is like, yeah, this is the greatest from the West Coast kind of thing. Where it was like,
that was not
interesting.
The thing at the time.
And I'm not saying like if you're a huge, and it's almost taboo to say that. Like that's hard to say on the microphone. Where I feel like I feel like there's people, and I know what our audience is for this. There's not going to be anybody coming after me, but I still feel it. Like I'm like, who's going to figure this out and be like, what'd you say about Tupac? I'm like, no, I'm still saying he's great. I'm just saying I don't know if he's like as high as people say. And I think the same goes for Biggie Smalls. Like I think that there's something about they have amazing songs, but I don't know. So that's where I was going with the Kurt Cobain thing, but.
I didn't agree in the moment, but I recently saw an interview with Dave Grohl, specifically about his time in Nirvana. And he kept talking about how fun it was and how all they did was, it was just goofing off the whole time. Like his view of Nirvana was kind of different than the public. Again, the public persona of this moody, dark, grungy band. I think I mentioned it. Well, I mentioned it, I think, last week when we were doing the face-off, where their lyrics are most of them are really just kind of goofy lyrics written by Cobain. There's, lyrics about nothing. And it's fair to say you wonder if that band would have faded out in the same way, let's say. Well, if Axl Rose had died about the same time.
Yeah.
Died around the same time and before they imploded, and it would have been like, oh, the greatest rock and roll band of the last 25 years just died. And then just boom, they're now locked in, and you don't get to see a fizzle or a fade or an implosion or any of the other stuff that often happens with artists and bands as they keep going. And then you're like, yeah, they're really like.
But then you think about the Foo Fighters, and then you're like, oh, fuck, wouldn't they have, though? Wouldn't they have fallen off?
Remember, Dave was the little kid in the group.
I know. You're just like, fuck. I don't know. No, but yeah, I completely agree. I think that they would have they would have split ways because even Dave doesn't speak highly about Nirvana, like in his time with Nirvana and stuff. There was some tension there, where it's just like, all right, you can kind of see where that kind of goes. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, yeah,
it was almost like, and thank goodness that they didn't do like, they weren't like, let's preserve Nirvana, let's just find a lead singer and let's just go from there or whatever. Like, it was, nope, this has run its course. This is us. And it actually makes it to where you have this really cool moment, even though there's the death of Dave Grohl, you have this really good
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain, where you have this, where you have it, where they have these really great albums. I mean, the first one with Bleach, and
Yeah.
it's like, all right. But you have, you have these albums that are like, this is our snippet in time of Nirvana, and this is all that there is.
If
I don't know.
they did,
and I don't think that's a bad thing.
We talked about it last week. They did 2 albums, and then they did the MTV Unplugged album. There was already signs of creative
Stall. I don't know.
stall. Yeah,
they were
not
stalling
the word
out
I'm looking for,
creatively.
but that's essentially what I'm talking about. It didn't seem like it was going to be an endless well of content, to the extent that whether you like Van Halen 1 or Van Halen 2, like Van
I think it's
Halen
extremely difficult for
or U2 or some of these other bands that just kept churning out stuff. And, not everything's great, but, U2 was creating music at a high level until 2008.
I still know people that talk about, and even like Songs of Experience or Songs of Experience was the free one that we got, right? With the Apple,
I think so.
or was it Songs of Innocence?
Songs of Innocence.
Songs of Innocence is actually a phenomenal album. So like there's really good things on there. So it's like, even in the 2010s they were coming out with good stuff.
Yeah.
Now they've gone into, they haven't really produced anything new. So it's been, reunion tours, that kind of stuff. Like they did Akatung, they did Akatung Baby, they did Joshua Tree before that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I was watching something on YouTube, and the guy was talking about the memory the first time he heard Smells Like Teen Spirit. I'm like, yeah, it does punch you in the gut, and like, oh, what is this? This is different.
It's my favorite opener. I love that opener.
There's two reactions if you like Smells Like Teen Spirit. One is, oh, I haven't heard this before, because you're not a punk fan. You've spent your whole whatever part of your life you've listened to classic rock, hard rock, hair band music, that kind of thing. Or the other reaction is, oh wow, this is punk music on steroids. This is awesome.
It's a great song. I preferred to Man in the Box. That would have been my vote, but again, I like Man in the Box. But again, we're going head to head on that kind of stuff. So, and speaking of going head to head tonight, we've got 3 new matchups for Tim. Tim's gonna have to choose between his children tonight, but we're gonna start off easy. Go ahead and say for the microphone who you would choose between these 2 artists. Like I said, we're gonna start off easy. We're gonna go one of the biggest debates on the pop scene, even though one of them is more of a rocker. We're gonna go Michael Jackson versus Prince.
Okay.
All right, Tim, who would you normally choose to listen to out of the 2 of them? You can tell by his immediate answer. It's so easy.
I guess Prince.
I'm more of a Prince guy myself.
If you're listening to this and you know me and you're surprised that I'm struggling with that, it's because I'm actually a big Michael Jackson pre-Thriller fan. I mean, I think the Thriller album's great, but
Thriller album is actually really good.
But the one before I actually prefer.
I don't remember which one that is. I don't know if we have any pre-Thriller. I don't know. We'll get to it. All right. First matchup tonight for Michael Jackson versus Prince. We have Billie Jean versus When Doves Cry.
Oh, you bastard. That's a Sophie's Choice. Billie Jean.
Billie Jean. That's a really tough one, and I think that Billie Jean is the correct. In my opinion, I think that that's a good call. I mean, there's no right or wrong answers. It's really just like, what do you prefer? It's not about what's the greatest. It's what are you taking here? Up next, number 2. I feel like this one's an easy one for me. Is it Beat It or Purple Rain?
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. Yeah.
Actually, I got it wrong earlier. Thriller is the album I do really like. It's bad that I'm not a big fan of.
Okay.
But Off the Wall is also a fantastic album.
Thriller versus 1999.
1999.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, Eddie Van Halen.
I thought Van Halen is in
Eddie plays in
Beat It.
Oh, that's right. He's Beat It.
It is Beat It.
Sorry.
Which, don't get me wrong, Beat It great, but Purple Rain, like, I don't even know if that can compete. So
No, particularly the full version, not the radio version. The whole thing.
Actually, the hard part about that album is the fact, and if you do the top 100 list, is they do the double. So the album is like the double.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, so you hear the whole album how he intended it, and then there's a whole half of an album that's just the radio edit versions, and you're just like, okay, I could do without this whole.
Yeah.
It's like an 18-track album, but there's only actually 9. Okay. Man in the Mirror versus Kiss.
Kiss
for sure. Song's so great. And then last but not least, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Let's Go Crazy.
Let's Go Crazy. I do like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. That's the title album. Well, that's not the title. It's the first song on the Off the Wall album. It's a good one.
4 out of 5 for Prince. Nice.
Yeah,
all right.
I guess my initial who's better shouldn't have been that hard.
Well, people who are listening to this might sit there and say those matchups aren't great or whatever. So who knows? Let's go to our next one. This one kind of took me a while to figure out who I wanted to match up with. I knew that I wanted to do one band in particular for you. And so I needed another band to kind of feel like it was good enough as a heavyweight. Like, I feel like one's a heavyweight here. Also, speaking of which, with the heavyweight, I almost texted you guys, but you guys were watching the race, I think, at that time. Richard Torres Jr. had his first loss this weekend.
Oh, we rewatched it, and he got thumped.
Well, he was doing fine, but then, like, ducked at the wrong time.
Ducked at the wrong time.
It was like, oh, dang, that's
thumped on the noggin.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Fighting in front of the pyramids.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Okay. So like I said, we have this heavyweight. I feel like is a heavyweight for you. I know you talked about him, but then I feel like this other one, you talk about him a lot too. I mean, you have nothing but respect for the band and you like them a lot as a band. I just don't know if they're in the same class. I don't know. So we're going to go AC/DC versus Guns N' Roses. So we're going head to head for AC/DC versus Guns N' Roses songs. So starting off, we're going to go Back in Black versus Welcome to the Jungle.
We'll go Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh, wow. All right. That was not what I was anticipating. This might be interesting. All right. Number 2. I don't feel like I don't know. I think one of these is iconic for a different reason. I think both are iconic. One is a better song, in my opinion. One's really fun. One's a better song. Thunderstruck versus Sweet Child of Mine.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah, that's the better song, in my opinion. Great. Love them both. Highway to Hell or Paradise City.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Highway to Hell on that one.
That's okay.
Just by a nose.
Hell's Bells versus Night Rain. Night Train?
Night Train.
Night Train.
Hell's Bells.
All right, we are tied 2-2. Hell's Bells. I agree with that one. I love Hell's Bells. That's up there as like top 3 AC/DC songs for me. And our last one, to see who wins it. I don't really feel like these are fair. This is a fair one to go for the last one. But
well, you have 2 other songs on Appetite for Destruction you could go with that are probably going to win. But that, I guess, well, that's
You Shook Me All Night Long or November Rain.
Oh, why did you go with November Rain?
Don't ask me. Ask the AI.
The AC/DC song. Come on. If it had been like Rocket Queen or Mr. Brownstone.
Mr. Brownstone. That's the best song on the album. It's not even close.
And if you're going to do a slow one, do my favorite, Patience. I could have picked, there's better, yeah.
AC/DC wins it in the head-to-head. Although, I don't know if, like, again, I don't feel like You Shook Me All Night Long is, like, that much. Like, I don't feel like that's not a favorite of mine. I think it's catchy and fun, but, like, that's not, like, so, like, when I think of AC/DC, like, some of my favorites are, I love some more of the deep cuts. I like Have a Drink on Me. I like For Those About to Rock.
For Those About to Rock's probably my favorite, and then my second is probably Right On.
I like
the last song on I think on Highway to Hell album. I think it's the last song they did. Before he died.
I've got a fun connection to Whole Lotta Rosie because that's the only reason why I knew about that song was because of Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper's rock station or showing whatever he'd do on our local rock station that we have around here. I would listen to it when I'd go to night class. And one night he was like, we're doing deep. He'd always do a deep cut. He'd be like, these are my deep cuts. And so he was like, this was actually one of my favorite AC/DC songs. He's like, don't ask me about the meaning of it. And he was just like, and so it was Whole Lotta Rosie. And then a year later, I'm at Kenny Chesney's concert, and him and his band are covering Whole Lotta Rosie. And Colette's like, my sister is with me at the concert, and she's like, I've never heard this song. And I was like, bro, this is an AC/DC song. And so I texted my dad, and I was like, bro, they're playing AC/DC out here. And he's like, Whole Lotta Rosie. I looked up your guys' set list before before you guys went to see what I'd be missing out on. And I was like, yeah, so it's sick. Those are some of those that I really like from AC/DC, but I think they just did all the popular ones for them. So, all right. You ready for your last matchup?
Yep.
We're going with late 70s versus late 80s. Pink Floyd versus U2. Choose between your children, Tim.
Oh, man.
All right. First matchup, With or Without You versus Wish You Were Here.
Wish You Were Here.
What? No hesitation? That's crazy. Where the Streets Have No Name or Comfortably Numb?
Ugh. Depends on the mood I'm in. Comfortably Numb.
Bad isn't on here, by the way, so if you're looking for that, it's not here. One versus Time.
Time.
Oh, is this going to be a clean sweep? Beautiful Day versus Money.
Money.
You just made a decision before you started.
No, I didn't.
And Pride versus Another Brick in the Wall Part 2.
Pride.
Oh, wow. 4-1. Wow. You just shot your dog out. And there you guys have it. Don't look at me like that. I didn't do it. I just sat here. I asked the questions. You don't.
No, I feel you judging me, so that's why I'm looking at you.
You know where I stand on Pink Floyd, so like that's not. There's nothing. There's no judgment there. It's just like, yeah, I don't get it, but I get it, but I don't get it at the same time. But that's not. But you don't need to defend it. Like, I understand what they do for the musical genre. I don't think that that's what you're thinking about when you do it, because again, at least I hope you're choosing your favorites over what you think is the greatest impact on the music. But
well, yeah, no, I'm just picking like. Well, I mean, Time is a really good. They're favorites, but they're also like Comfortably Numb is it's an exceptional song.
Sure.
It's got two really good, the lyrics are fantastic. It's got two fantastic guitar solos in the song. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Are there
U2's impact's just like bigger, but it's not like granular, it's going to lose out to Pink Floyd, but on those specific like songs. But
the three, I don't know. I know one of them I listen to, the other one I don't. But the three, is it?
You know, the 3 songs in a row on Dark Side of the Moon?
No, I was about to say it's. Oh my God, they're gonna win. They're gonna sweep.
Oh my goodness,
that's crazy. Are there 3 from? There's 2 from The Wall. Yeah, there's 3 from The Wall.
Time.
Wish You Were Here is that's
Wish You Were Here
that's
from which
Dark Side of the Moon.
No,
that's The Wall.
No, that's from Wish You Were Here album.
Oh, so it's 2. So it's 2 and it's 2, 2, and 1.
2, 2, and 1.
So Comfortably
So
Numb.
that's
and
3 songs from their 3 best albums.
Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. Ooh, through the 5 hole. And then Money and Time are both from.
Those are Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon.
But Dark Side of the Moon probably has, let's see, Time.
Well, I don't like Money and Time. Those are
Us and Them.
Those I don't like.
Any
I don't like
Color
both
You
of those
Like.
songs. Those are that's the beginning half of the album, and I feel like the second half of the album carries. I think it's after Time, right? Because Time's like
The Time, it goes from Time, and then it goes Great Gig in the Sky, which is just the music, the instrumental with the black chick singing, their longtime backup singer, and then it goes into Us and Them, I think, and then basically it's just a string of songs. It goes Money, Us and Them, Any Color You Like, and then the last 2, which
yeah, so it's after Money then. So it's after Money.
yeah,
I
when
feel
it
like
rips into there and just flows from like one song to another, it's like a rock opera and everything.
I felt like that was just the whole album, but that's also how The Wall is too, right? Like it's
but the Wall's tied around a really bizarre psychedelic movie too. So,
well, yeah. So is Dark Side of the Moon.
no,
yeah, it's tied around the Wizard of Oz. Shut the fuck up.
you can't do that. I've done that twice.
Did you take psychedelics while you're
No.
doing it too?
No, it was one of those things you did in college when you found out about it. And if you like the album.
So wait, you're supposed to start it when she hits not when you start the movie, right?
No, it's a specific part when she like lands in them.
Oh, I thought it was the tornado.
It's in the tornado.
Okay. I don't remember. I just was like, I had heard it was a tornado because isn't there like there's something that kind of goes along with the whole like the whole tornado scene. I heard, but I don't remember. So
Pink Floyd's influenced by 2 things. One, Syd Barrett frying his brain.
I was about to say drugs.
And so, I mean, like the last 2 songs on
so Wish You Were Here.
Wish You Were Here.
Right.
And then the last 2 songs on Dark Side of the Moon are straight up about him. And then there's just this theme throughout. It's heavy on The Wall, but it's interlaced in other songs and albums of, I think, I've never looked it up or I've never seen anything definitive, but there's clearly like they were traumatized. I think somebody's father had died in one of the wars. So there's a heavy theme of fatherless children being raised by their mother. Again, that's heavy on Comfortably Numb album. In fact, there's a song called Mother. And it's about a boy being spoiled by his overbearing mother. But yeah, there is an anger and angst built into all of the Pink Floyd albums post Syd Barrett against the government and the war machine and that kind of thing. So, and it's funny because, when you get into those kind of things, it's like, all right, well, which kind of government are you upset with? It's not that you don't like big government. It's just like you don't like the right kind of big government that's what's always confounded me about so much of hard rock that gets very political. It's like, you sound like a libertarian, but yet you're a big government lefty. That was what I always joked about Rage Against the Machine. It was always, I agree with so many of your lyrics. I just don't agree with the prescriptions that you have for solving the problem. You think a better version of government's the problem, and I think the government's the problem to begin with. So we'll just agree on finding the problems. And we're going to take a break.
I just peed.
No. We're back.
Yeah, so if you want my...
This is soda.
Oh, okay. I was like, I could have brought you beer.
It's a caffeine-free.
I just
Coke
didn't know
Zero.
you were off of... I didn't know you were off of the thing. I would have brought you beer.
I'm back off.
I figured when you were like, yeah, I'll have a weekend. I won't. I figured that was kind of part of it. Yeah, so a little tangent that I have for the evening. Oh, and it's an icing. Are they doing a penalty here for tripping? No. Jack's just getting ready to... Okay. Sorry. Distracted. We got the Vegas game. The Vegas Avs game going on in the background. So this is kind of interesting. I don't know how much you know about this, but actually this has kind of been building for a minute. And it actually started with another podcast that I saw a clip of today, and Nolan and I had this conversation earlier in the week, but so they did the roast of Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Week and a half ago now
Yeah.
on Netflix.
I didn't see it, but I've seen a lot of blowback controversy.
So, all right. So some of the people that were on it, you have Chelsea Handler, who's on it. You have, who else? You have the guy who's hosting is Shane Gillis. Kevin Hart is on it. The Rock makes an appearance later.
Tony Hinchcliffe? What's his name?
Yeah, Tony Hinchcliffe. That was who I was trying to think of his name.
He's the one who got called out, wasn't he?
Jeff Ross. He's at like every single one of them.
He's Mr. Roast.
Jeff Ross is at every single one of them. Pete Davidson is at every single one of them. He was there. Anyways, there's a lot of them, but the ones that I've highlighted are now the key elements of this conversation. So, and I don't even know where I want to start with this. Now, actually, where I want to start with it is I want to go back to Tom Brady's roast a year ago. And Tom Brady got upset when Jeff Ross made a joke about Bill Belichick and his like underage girlfriend.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady got so upset, he went up to him and was like, hey, you can't do that. And he's like, all right, okay. And just like had to move on or whatever. And I was like, I'm sorry, but like, is that where we're at in a society where it's just like, all right, we're going to do this roast and we're just going to be like, all right, there are things that are off limits. Like we can't, like, how serious are you taking yourself and your life? Like, okay. So now before I start unpacking that. Okay. So Tom Brady does that, right? He does that. Also, let's even rewind a little bit further back because this is going to be important in a minute. Remember when Chris Rock made a joke about Jaden Smith and actually talking about how she was hot and just said like out here with the G.I. Jane fit?
Yeah.
And then he got smacked the shit out of by Will Smith?
Yeah. And it was later because it was of her alopecia, but that was bullshit.
So we go to the Kevin Hart roast and we have a couple of different things. And I'm going to start with Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony Hinchcliffe had a pretty funny set. And Kevin Hart said so. He actually got on saying that Tony Hinchcliffe had probably the funniest set of the night. Now, whether you like him or not, that's neither here nor there. I thought that Tony had a pretty funny set. He did good with his roast. I've also watched Tony on his show that he does, which is like Kill Tony. The guy has no problem when people make fun of him. But you could tell that night some things were bothering him. And I do have a problem with that. But we'll get to that in a minute. But so he does his set. And I want to talk about this Kevin Hart podcast because he then gets on this podcast called like The Morning Talk or something
Breakfast
like that.
Club.
Breakfast Club. Thank you. And he gets asked directly about why he didn't stop everything and pull what Tom Brady did for Bill Belichick when Hinchcliffe made a George Floyd joke. And so Kevin Hart's over there, like, he defends Tony, which props to Kevin for doing. He's like, it's a joke. Like, and he's like, it didn't appeal to our audience. It didn't appeal to me. It didn't appeal to all of you as a part of your culture. But there's other people that are going to laugh at that joke. Or like other people are just like, yeah, it's not going to land. And these two people that are a part of this podcast are sitting there and they're like, well, we interviewed George Floyd's brother and he thought that you would stand up for him. He was just like, and he felt let down by you because he was like, hey, you were at his funeral. And so you'd be there and you'd be like, yeah, that's messed up. We wouldn't ever make a joke about that kind of thing. And then shout out to Kevin Hart for being like, yeah, but also remember when so-and-so did, or when Pete Davidson did a Charlie Kirk joke and nobody laughed either. Like,
Yeah.
He's like, that also wasn't called for. Like, he's like, it's a roast. Like, we're pushing boundaries. Like, and if you're not if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, like, I got to hold this. And he's like, no, like, we got to push. Like, I was like, it's fine. This is where we're at. Like, I can't sit there and just be like, oh, I got to stand up and protect. This is a production or whatever. It doesn't mean that I have to like the joke, but it just means that, like, hey, they're out here trying to see what lands and what falls or whatever. Like, they're out here doing their job. They're out here being comedians.
He basically said I wouldn't have expected him to do anything less than that. That's exactly why he was on the show.
Yeah. I wouldn't have expected more from him, anything less. And he's like, I know the kind of comedian he is. I know the kind of jokes. And not sitting there and saying, like, he's dirty or underhanded and just being like, well, that's just who he is. And, like, it's not just like a boys be boys kind of moment or something like that. But at the same time, it's this idea of these are the expectations of this thing. He's like, people talked about my dead mom and they made a reference. He was like, they made a sexual innuendo about running a train on her as part of like a double entendre kind of bit about my mom. And you think that I'm going to go up there and, like, I'm going to sit there and defend George Floyd? Like, you know, like, that was where it was like, and not because of what, but they were like, but, you know, with how much it meant to other people and this, you know, whole kind of setup. And it was like, and they wanted him to stand up for them and for black people and just be like, that's not right. But again, and so this is where I'm like, okay, so where are we at as a culture? Where we're sitting there and we're saying that that's not okay, but it's okay to sit there and make fun of Pete Davidson's dad for dying in 9/11. Where are we at? We're in a culture where we're saying that that's not okay, but it's okay to talk about Charlie Kirk getting shot and let that joke land or whatever. Where are we as a culture where we're sitting there and we're saying that that's not okay, but it's okay to call any one of them Nazis, call Chelsea Handler a whore? Where's the fucking line? I was like, Shane Gillis talked about they're going to have to hang Kevin Hart from a bonsai tree. Like, you know, like they had to send him. He talked about it for slavery. I was putting a bottle on the boat, you know, as whatever to talk about, like, the short, also black slavery joke.
Right.
So where's the fucking line? Where is it? We're just like, oh, it meant a lot to a lot of people. Oh, did slavery not mean a lot to all of you? Is calling Lizzo fat for, like, the entirety of the thing, like, that's okay? Like, are we doing that? You literally called Shane Gillis retarded. Like, where's the fucking line, people? Is it just about what's important to you and people need to therefore protect what's important to you? But then, okay, so, like, let's go more recently, right? So is there a time gap? Is it a time thing? So we have, and this is a legitimate question. I think that this is something for us to kind of work through tonight, where I was just like, yeah, this is a tangent that I don't mind going off on for a little bit. But, like, okay, so for example, Trump gets shot at, has his poster, blah, blah, blah. We have Tenacious D is on tour. And I can't remember the other guy that's part of Tenacious D that isn't Jack Black.
Yeah, no one ever does.
Nobody
I
ever
know. I
remembers
know
him.
him when I see him,
Sorry, man.
but I can't remember. I don't
Can't remember his name. He makes his joke on stage, and now Tenacious D has postponed their concerts for a while, has to lay low, do a little PR kind of, stunt of just being like, oh, like we don't, yada, yada, yada. Not Colbert, but what's his name?
Oh, Kimmel.
Yeah, Kimmel gets canceled after he makes a Charlie Kirk joke the weekend after. Is it time? Like, is that what we need? We need extra days, to where we're, we haven't been 10 years past the George Floyd incident, so therefore we can't make fun of it.
I'm waiting.
Oh, are you wanting?
You were looking at me like you were ready for me to jump in. I'm just. You told me when to jump in.
I mean, you're welcome to jump in whenever.
No.
I'm just like, there's this, and people are getting upset. Chelsea Handler's upset about what people said about her. She's like, oh, they're sexist, they're misogynistic, which is wild to me. When you wrote a book called My Horizontal Life, and you talked about all the men you slept with and how that empowered you as a woman, how the fuck are people not going to use that as comedy material? You wrote a book on it. And if you're sitting there and you're like, well, no, My Horizontal Life is this. No. Here, let me tell you the undertitle for My Horizontal Life. My Horizontal Life, a story of a long line of one night stands. That's a more like, again, if you're a woman and you're sitting there and you're like, this gives me power. I feel empowered by this. I'm going to write a book about how, like, this is, I'm still me. I still have, I still have an identity through this, blah, 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 blah. But you're going to put out your entire life out there for that. Well, then it's open to be ridiculed. You can't just sit there and say, like, people should respect me for this and what I've done for women, for whatever. I was like, you've done something that's completely countercultural and you think that you're not going to get ridiculed for that. And then, Tony Hinchcliffe took extreme issues with being called a Nazi. And he's just like, that's hilarious. And he went back on his show like the next night and he's like, and he like literally points to everybody on his stage and he's like, look at all these black people and Jews that I surround myself with that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm a Nazi. And I do feel bad for both Shane and Tony because I think both of them get Trump grouped. And they're like, and both of them make fun of Trump on a regular basis. They're just like, yeah, we're not really Trump guys. Like, but there's a certain sect of their following that kind of supports that, but they're not like, they don't speak it down enough. Like, and so that's what bothers people. They're just like, oh, well, you don't speak out against it. And so therefore you're allowing for this group to follow you. And they're just like, no, I just don't get political. And so if you don't get political nowadays, well, then you're either for or you're against. If I had a bunch of, just like in my classroom, if I have a bunch of homosexuals that come in and hang out in my classroom, which I do, because they view me as an ally, which is great. I'm glad that they feel like this is a safe space in my classroom, but they hang out there at lunch or whatever. Then people think that I'm left-leaning and therefore I'm more likely to vote left. And it's like, not really.
You don't know me.
Yeah, but it's like that whole, well, then you should condone them and kick them out of your classroom. Why the hell would I do that? And I mean, that's not an exact analogy, but it's still a part of that whole kind of thing. So I don't know. You want to chime in? Go at it for a little bit and then I'll add in if there's.
I think specifically part of the problem here is I think there is a general. I'll deal with your general question because I think it is relevant, but I'm just going to take a cheap shot at Chelsea Handler. She's not really that funny. She became famous because the comedian circuit / Hollywood decided that females making fun of men was the high point of comedy, and she's made an entire career about that, and then making jokes about her private parts, which is fine. I'm not saying that needs to be banned. I'm just saying it's not really funny. I've never found her funny. The only time I've remotely found her funny is when she's reading someone's script in a comedy and she comes across as funny, but I never found her monologues on her show funny.
I honestly had no idea who she was, so I had to look her up.
And so when I heard about her lashing out, I'm like, yeah, that's the only thing she's capable of doing. She's only capable of lashing out at men in a way where she's either angry or telling jokes. And so, I mean, you could blame this on, she was there, right? Wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Because she then...
Yeah, she had her, and that's where Tony was, so Tony went on and was like, she laid into me, so she got to go first. She was like one of the first two.
See, that's it. She went in. She went in and to pick a fight, and went laid into him. When this isn't the Tony Hinchcliffe roast. This is the Kevin Hart roast,
right? And he was like, "Okay, my turn's coming soon, bitch."
Yeah.
Like, and so that was his thing, and he said that. He said
that
like,
all right, this is what we're gonna do.
He said it was the first time in the entire night where the teleprompter went out, and he was like, "All right, well, I've been ruminating on some shit over the last hour, so
here we go." There's a lot of female comedy on Netflix. Just, I'm not even saying this as a dude. I'm just saying. It's the Seinfeld thing. So you're offended as a Jew? No, I'm offended as a comedian. I think female comedians need to broaden, just in general, a lot of their work. A lot of it's geared towards women. You could say, well, a lot of male humor's geared towards men. In some ways, yes, but I think women would do a lot of the, like Amy Poehler. I don't find her, or Amy Schumer. I don't find her funny at all either. It's the same thing. It's just crass vagina jokes. It's like, okay, Erin Wexler, she's hysterical. She's a female comedian. She has one of the funniest bits you will ever hear where she compares Muslims to pit bulls. And it is hysterical. And it pushes all of the PC buttons. But she does it very cleverly, very funny. It's not just the jokes. It's the way she plays up to the crowd and puts a delay in it. Look it up on YouTube. It is one of the funniest things you've ever seen. And again, the comedian is the gesture. It's the one dude in the court who can make fun of the king. And we have to have good comedians have always said things that make us feel uncomfortable.
Well, and so like to the female things. So.
Well, not all comedians, but like a certain part of comedy, like, oh, this guy, my dad. Anyway, there's certain comedians and they're just funny. They're more slapsticky. That's
Bob
fine.
Hope.
Bob Hope. I can't remember. It's the guy that, I'll look him up. It's the guy that, shoot. I'll look him up. Go on though.
So when it comes to female comedians, I think that they're still getting the ball rolling. They're understanding.
That's fair.
Men have dominated the industry for so long, which is not sitting there and saying like, oh no, like this isn't a woke thing. But I do think that for a lot of male comedians nowadays, one of the things that they needed Jerry Seinfeld to one point a finger. And so Jerry Seinfeld got up and said very specifically, he was like, if you're talking about sex or you're talking about anything that's taboo, it's a cheap laugh. What you're doing is you're creating a cheap laugh. You have to be significantly more creative than that. And that's why Jerry has never really, he says that he's never really gone for it. Is like, I tried to be something that was like, I'm working hard for this laugh. I'm going to talk about something that's, different than that, because ultimately it's within our makeup that like when we talk about something that's taboo, it makes it more humorous. and it makes it easier to shed a humorous light on it. And so females are still trying to push those boundaries. And so they can get easy laughs by sitting there and talking about something. And especially when it comes to female experiences or especially female experiences with sex and or genitalia, that they can sit there and make those kind of jokes, and it could be, and because it's been taboo for so long, it can create easy laughs on a regular basis. And so because it can make but it can also make people feel uncomfortable. I mean, so you got to find that right line. And so where a lot of men find them is they feel uncomfortable from it, which is not like, it's the same thing as if men can do the exact same thing with penis jokes. Like there's the same kind of thing can happen to where girls will stick their nose up at certain male comedians and just be like, that's crass. I mean, you could be laughing your ass off over it. It exists both ways.
It does. Let me make a caveat. I think that the time that the female comedians started ascending was at the same time comedy in general. So also the male comedians were just it turned into very junior high crass jokes, like the Indian dude who's on Parks and Recreation. I can't remember his name, but I've seen his stand up, and it's not funny. It's just like saying, to be very reductive about it. It's like him saying the penis over and over again 5 times after, a somewhat funny delivery. And I feel like there was a whole generation of that. Well, even April, what's her name? I've seen her stand up. Same thing. It's just all very crass, very reductive, simple jokes.
So for him, it makes more sense who you were talking about, because again, remember that he's Indian. And so therefore he appeals to a group that's more, the more taboo it is, the more funny it is for that particular group. So again,
I don't see race, so
you're just like, even though you said the Indian guy from
that's my easiest way to describe him.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But I never thought of it. It was an Indian guy trying to be crass. I just think in the.
Well, I don't think he's trying. I think it's more humorous to him because of it's a part of their culture that it's more taboo, and I think that he still draws in a crowd and gets lots of. And I mean, listen. You could make that same claim that Jerry Seinfeld could have done the same thing and gotten lots of views and still done the whole same thing. And also, by the way, Jerry doesn't. Some people put Jerry on this like higher level because it's like, oh, his comedy doesn't do. I was like, his TV shows still centered around sex, like on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's hard to know how much of that's Larry David, but yeah.
Still, it's just like, all right. Like,
well, it's funny as someone who watches Seinfeld on a regular basis, the little parts where at the first 3 or 4 seasons where they're showing his stand-up comedy before and after, and at the end of the show, it's not really funny. It's just like, it's exactly, and I think this is probably why they've picked those bits. It's exactly what the show's making fun of, which is it's just observational humor, which is just, hey,
so how about that airline food?
How about the number of vegetables at the grocery store?
That was like, Jake Pitts swore that this was like one of the funniest jokes he'd ever heard, which was like about a horse and its oat bag or something that Jerry Seinfeld tells. And he was like, gotta get my oat bag. And he's like singing. And I was just like looked at like Jake Pitts, and he was just like, he's like dying. And I'm like, okay. But apparently, according to Eric Pedersen, I only like black comedians. So I only like black humor. Sorry.
No, I do think from about 2005, for about 10 years, from about 2005, 2015, roughly, there was this whole Judd Apatow sponsored group of comedians. They were stand-up comedians and then got brought into.
They were Hollywood plants.
No, and then became actors because he was seeing them on the comedian circuit. And it's a level of crassness and that I just don't find funny. It's to your point, it's the Seinfeld, it's the cheap laughs.
Yeah.
Whereas you tell a joke like what Hinchcliffe told about George Floyd, I mean, that takes balls. There's some dark humor to it. Like that is,
Yeah, and he told the joke, and if we're being honest, I didn't think it was super funny. Like, it was like, oh, okay. I do think that was one of his weakest jokes in his set. Like, I thought a lot of his jokes were funny, but then, like, that one, it was like, I was like, ha, ha, ha. But I'm sure that lots of people are like, ooh, line cross, which I get it. But also at the same time, you're literally making fun of Pete Davidson's dad who died in 9/11
Right.
as a firefighter. You're making fun of Shane Gillis saying that because Shane has opened himself up to being saying like, hey, you can make fun of me. Like, he sits there and says, I'm a bit of a day walker myself, talking about that he, like, you know, people assume that he has autism or that he has Down syndrome. You know, like that's...
Oh, when he opened after coming back to Saturday Night Live and told the joke about
so funny.
his little brother, little sister. He's got a sibling who's younger who has it. And then he said, of course, you know, it runs in the family, and he's looking at him, and then like crickets. He's like, just, what did he say? Is like, it's the wrong crowd, or...
I don't know. But like Shane leans into the fact that he's bombing when he's not actually bombing. So like, I don't know.
That's true.
Like,
but I think that night he was anyway.
So like, where's the line?
I think we're trying to figure it out.
I don't know if, in my opinion, if you were to ask me, and this is where I get frustrated, and actually I get frustrated at Tony, like, so they called you a Nazi, like, you're upset, and you're just like, oh, I thought it was Rich, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, at the end of the day, like, you can't hold anything, like, people are going to say shit about you. It's a roast, dude. Especially, you got to go in there saying, like, they're going to talk about anything and everything. They're going to make fun of everybody that I've ever known, everything that I've ever done. And you need to not hold anything sacred.
I hear what you're saying, but I think he was correctly responding to, that wasn't her telling jokes. That was her being personal and like being a bitch.
Sure. But again, you're in front of your own crowd where you have people that have paid to go and see you, Tony. Like,
yeah, well, this is probably where being a comedian, having a podcast where you can react the next day is probably not a good idea. You probably need like a week to reflect on it, and then just be like, yeah, whatever.
Well, and that's where I appreciate Shane's comments, where he was just like, he got asked about it, and he was just like, about Chelsea Handler's comments towards him, and he was just like, after the fact, when because she laid into Shane and she leaned into Tony, and then the next day or whatever, she got interviewed, and she was like, oh yeah, these guys are misogynistic pigs, blah, blah, blah. And Shane got asked about it, and he was just like, yeah, glad she's getting some publicity from that. That's all he said. Like, he was just like,
Good
yeah,
for him.
so
Good
whatever.
for him.
And Shane caught flack from Mikey Shea, the black guy on SNL that does the Weekend Update.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of and I don't want to say that Shane specifically, but Mikey Shea was upset. He was invited to the roast.
Poor man's Tracy Morgan.
Yeah. He was invited to the roast, but wasn't able to make it because of SNL restraints. But then said, I don't think that white comedians should be making jokes without black writers. And so Shane Gillis then posted on Instagram all of his writers, and it's like literally like 7 black dudes and like 3 white dudes that were his writers for all of his jokes. And he's like, here were my writers for all of my jokes. There you go. So again, it's just like, all right, whatever. I didn't mean for us to get on a huge tangent with this, but at the same time, like, I go back to the Chris Rock incident, and I think about these people that were upset about George Floyd not standing up for George Floyd or whatever, and it was like, why are we?
It's two things. One part of this is just malignant narcissism, where you're taking yourself too seriously, even though you take jokes. Your whole job is to tear people down and make sure they don't take themselves seriously, but yet you take yourself seriously. So that's fair. I mean, that's essentially what Tony's doing. Like, you know, he's trying to act like he doesn't take things seriously, but yeah, you're taking things a little too seriously. Like, if I was his friend, I would have said, what did you expect? What did you expect when you saw that she was going to be on the list? Of course she was going to go after you. To which I would have said to Kevin Hart, like, why the hell did you invite her? She's going to bum out the party. Which he might have said, like, I wanted everything represented. So if you didn't like her, then too bad. But if you didn't like Tony, then too bad. Fair enough.
And the lay into her was way better than when, oh man, was it Justin Bieber's roast?
Oh,
I think it was Justin Bieber's roast.
Bieber's roast was Kevin Ross, Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, who was the girl though?
Oh, it was it's the one who had been doing all of them.
No. I know who you're talking about because they mentioned her and they're like, oh, she's not here, so we have blah, blah, blah. No, I'm talking about, I can just think it like Pete Davidson laid into her. Everybody did, but I remember Ann Coulter.
Oh, she was there?
I don't know if it was Justin Bieber's or she was.
He must have made a joke about her because it was Martha Stewart, Hannibal Buress, Will Ferrell.
So it must not have been
Dogg, Shaq.
And was it not the Ann Coulter one? Or was that, she wasn't at that one? Then whose roast?
She was one at one.
I know, but which one was it? There was Justin Bieber, there was Tom Brady, but who was in between that?
This says Rob Lowe, Ann Coulter, Jimmy Carr, Nikki Glaser. That's the one I was trying to think of. Jewel, interesting. Pete Davidson, Rob Lowe, Jeff Ross, Peyton Manning, Ralph Macchio.
Oh, that was a fun roast, but holy hell did everybody lay into Ann Coulter. So Chelsea Handler did not get it that bad. Ann Coulter was just raked over the coals. Like everybody talk about that was probably the most like distasteful, like, and I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about her politics. I've heard it's like terrible or whatever.
If Ann Coulter is here, then who's scaring the crows away from our crops? That was one of them.
Yeah, that wasn't that bad. Although she did look terrible. But then he goes in and says like, or as people like to call her, or like it was something, a cunt. Like it was just like, all right, Pete, going for it. He did like 5 jokes about her in a row that were all just like, ugh. But Pete's that way, so, or used to be that way. He kind of got a little filtered on Kevin Hart's roast, which was interesting. He's kind of been a new guy since his
sobriety.
Yeah, which good for him. I think he's just got to find out who he is and maybe decide like, maybe this isn't something that I still need to engage in or still need to be a part of.
Honestly, he should just start doing acting. He's a fantastic actor in the 2 movies I can think of that I've seen him in.
I think he's a great
the movie about Robin Hood, the
new Robin Hood movie that's coming out.
No, he was in the one about the
Men in Tights.
He was in the one about the shorting of the GameStop on Robin Hood. He plays the younger brother of the guy who's of Electric Kitty or whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, I've never even seen it.
And then what else is he in? Oh, he's in a kind of a semi-biographical King of Staten Island.
King of Staten Island, yeah.
And I think he could be like Robin Williams and Tom Hanks. He's a really good actor. There's something else I've seen him in, but
I really like Pete Davidson and I wish the best for him. But I think it's time SNL had reached its end, right? Because he retired, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's out there still trying to find himself. And I think he's a fantastic writer and I think he can write some really good stuff. And so I'm interested to see what's next for him. But I think that where he's got to be the roast guy or whatever, it's just like, let's see what you can do, Pete.
Jonathan Winters was the comedian I was trying to think of earlier. It's my dad's favorite.
Oh, yeah.
He was Robin Williams' mentor. Robin Williams fashioned a lot of his comedy, stand-up comedy around Jonathan Winters. I just think we need to get closer back to what where things were in the late 70s, 80s, where you could just kind of make fun of everybody and you weren't called a racist. Like,
yeah, remember when
you could get along with benign bigotry and it would just be funny.
Yeah.
Whether the jokes are the opposite of what's true or you're just digging into what's actually true, doesn't matter. It keeps everybody on their toes. racial groups can't take themselves seriously.
Yeah, get back to the whole like white people have small penises thing. Although they
Mexicans
did
are
do that.
lazy.
They did do that.
Polish people are dumb.
Yeah, exactly. Like get back to that. It's so funny.
Italians make terrible cars.
Yeah, have a good time. I
Bring back Archie Bunker.
just wish we didn't hold things so sacred. Let's make fun of ourselves.
Well, that's what's so, to kind of bring it into the orb of the show, we're getting less religious supposedly, but all we're doing is replacing religious shibboleths with secular religious shibboleths.
Yeah.
We're not getting any less religious the more we Christian, or we've been very clear about the show. We don't think we've really been a Judeo-Christian country, but certainly at least the reverence and public expectation of following some sort of religion or being godly in some kind of way, that has been poo-pooed. And again, the world we were offered was this libertine paradise, but no, we've just replaced things with another form of Puritanism. So,
yep.
And in a lot of ways, just as, if not more, well, I wouldn't say more, just as toxic and all the other bad things. What are you giving looks for?
Well, I wasn't going to look for anything. I just looked at the time.
Oh,
but I wasn't shocked at the time. Sorry. This is a score. I don't know if you could see that from there, of the Dodger game versus the Rockies. So it was 1-0. It was 1-0 last time.
Holy mackerel.
So I just was like, wow. It was like 1-0 at one point. Sorry, it's 15-1 now, and it's still the 7th inning. So I just was like, oh, it's just like, Jesus, he's already dead. Stop.
Good grief.
So yeah.
We're at 144. Do we want to just stop? It's a lighthearted show.
Yeah, we can if we want. Yeah, that's fine.
We'll talk about the other topic later.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, we thank you for listening to this episode of the Go to Hell podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review.
This has actually probably been our our least cynic episode around Memorial Day that we've ever had.
Well, that's good, because I'm not in a Memorial Day mood, right? I mean, well, Memorial Day gets what should be a holiday about fallen Americans, and I'm going to use fallen Americans. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tired of the hero worship. I'm not going to say fallen heroes. Not every American who died is just like, they're fallen Americans.
Says the guy that was upset that Kyle Busch died over the week. And we talked about the heroes bit, but yeah, okay, sorry.
I'm not saying we shouldn't be sad.
Oh, no, yeah.
No, no, my complaint is it gets turned into like this pro-war. It's like July 4th it's a July 4th appetizer of look at all these guys who men and women who died for America. This is great that they all died for America. It's like, no, I don't think that's actually what we should be. Should that really be the celebration of how great these people all died for America? And in fact, at this time, I'd be like, yeah, what did they actually dying for? Because not seeing too many things. My country is not my government, and my government is not my country. So
I am extremely grateful for people that have laid down their lives for what they believe to be the opportunity for all of us to continue to pursue our American dreams, and for us to be able to, in this country right now, I am extremely blessed, and I don't want to sit there and I think it's amazing that we can sit there and criticize America, and I feel like I'm an advocate, like I'm actively, constantly criticizing America. But I also must acknowledge that I am extremely blessed to live in this country, and I do realize that if it weren't for Americans that have gone to war in the past, that I would not be able to have some of the freedoms and liberties that I currently have. I'm not saying that it wouldn't. I don't know how the world would have looked. I can't play that game. I can only talk about what I have now, and what I have now is given to me by these people. And so I'm extremely blessed and honored, but I have to try and push for something better moving forward. And so and hopefully a place where violence doesn't have to be an answer and that kind of stuff. And so that's, I know completely what you're saying, and I'm not taking away from that. I hope you don't feel like I'm trying to take away from
You're
that.
not.
I'm just more saying, like, Memorial Day is tough. I feel like 4th of July is getting tougher and tougher if I'm looking at it from a nationalistic standpoint. Like, not, I love celebrating with everybody and celebrating what this country was founded on and that kind of stuff and all of that. But also, I do have to recognize the United States through the past, 150 years, 250 years, 250 years.
250. This
Yeah,
is the 250th year we're at.
What does that, like, would we be what we were without that? And so I need to be reflective on that and sit there and say, like, I'm not happy about what's happened in the past, but it's the same thing, right? Like with slavery, with the Crusades, with whatever that has happened in the past. I'm sitting there and I'm saying, like, this isn't something that I necessarily want to have happen again, but I'm grateful for these things that have happened that help, like, right? Like, so like the Crusades, right? You have to sit there and evaluate the Crusades from historical perspective now. And that was one of the things that brought Europe out of the Dark Age, right? So we could sit there and say that it was a horrible thing. Nobody should ever do it. That should not be a thing from our 21st century lens. But at the same time, we have to sit there and recognize that, that actually brought them out of the Dark Age because they had to therefore unify instead of doing these squabbles and like wars against each other to come out of it. And so, again, and with the United States, like, we have to sit there and say there were horrible, terrible things that existed within our country's existence, but we have to try and push for something better moving forward. And I hope that we're able to find that, but I don't know. So that's what I was saying. Maybe I was too distracted. I don't know.
What?
I said, was that too distracted? I don't know.
No, I think it was a good. I'm going to follow up on that. I think it was good that you remembered to bring up Memorial Day, even though, again, this will come out a couple weeks after. But I think it'll be good. Just consider this a good primer as to where we're at for July 4th. As this will probably drop mid-June. If I'm being honest, I'm in a state of cognitive dissonance. I wouldn't say I'm proud to be an American, but I'm also thankful to be an American. I don't want to live somewhere else. I'm not proud to be an American because I think our country is not what it was promised to be, and it didn't just kind of happen. It's for very specific reasons. Every culture, every country has a mythology about it, and I understand that. They kind of require a level of mythology to stay cohesive and exist. But I've also gotten to the point in my life, and if you've been listening to this podcast, it's certainly been expressed by us when it comes to the church. But much like the church, I'm over the mythology of the United States. And a lot of what gets preached as the historical record and what America is and all that is mythological bullshit that's a lot more complicated. And to your point, that doesn't mean that World War II was a mistake. I'm not saying that Germany was a victim, but I'm just saying most of what there's a current argument, particularly on the right, of there's a new group of historians coming at me and like, Winston Churchill wasn't that great of a guy. I could point out, and the outcry of, oh my God, you're criticizing Winston Churchill. You must think Hitler's great. It's like, no, I didn't say that at all. Also, it's a little more complicated how we lay out how Germany got to where Germany was. Let's lay out those things, not because we're trying to minimize or say that the Holocaust didn't happen. It's actually so we can have a better understanding of how to prevent that happening, because it wasn't a German experience. It was a human experience. And much to your point, what I don't like about the Crusades is the mythology, not only promoted by the West, but just Christianity in general, of how, this is our great fight against. No, let's have an honest discussion about what it was.
Yeah.
And then we can decide whether or not it was a good thing or not, or or just say it is what it is and not make a decision one way or another. I don't have to make a decision whether that was good where it happened.
Well, and also, you know what? Here's the thing. And this is where we're going to end the show. Whether you got more opinions about it or not, you've hit us all the way back to where we were. Where
I do want to say something real quick though, if you're going to wrap it up on that. Sorry. Cuz I want to make it clear I have dear friends like Robert who served. And I want to make it clear, even one of my cognitive dissonances is I don't like a lot of the wars we've fought in, but that doesn't mean that I don't respect the hell out of the people who've served. And if you find that contradictory, I don't care. I can square that hole. I can square that peg. It's not a problem. I can shake the hand and respect that hell out of somebody who still went and decided to do it. But, you know, and it doesn't mean that I think nor would tell them their face like, well, it was all a waste of the time. It's like, no, they felt the need. I didn't serve. So, sorry.
No, you're fine. Because I completely agree. But what I was going to say was, when we look at like the Crusades, when we look at whatever, I think one of the best books to go back to if we're looking at scripture is go back to Genesis and look at how God has a plan for this world, and continuously we mess it up.
Yeah.
And yet God is able to bring something beautiful out of that. He's able to make good out of that. And that becomes, and the reason why I say go to Genesis is because that becomes the narrative of scripture. We look at the narrative of the Bible and what it is. And so we look at America. America is merely a blink. We don't even make up a blink of humanity's existence. If humanity was in the span of 24 hours, we wouldn't even make a second on the list.
Yeah.
And so we look at, if we were to look at God's plan for humanity, again, it is, he has a plan. We fuck it up. And yet through that fuck up, God still is able to create something beautiful out of it and create something amazing that we're able to continue to move forward. And then we go and we fuck that up. And yet God continues to move us forward and help create something beautiful out of these fuck ups that continue to happen. And that's how we have to be as Christians, as people that follow Christ, is that after these fuck ups, we got to move forward and we got to create something beautiful out of this. We got to sit there and say, that's not how we're going to do things moving forward. One of the best examples of this is Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. The guy's shipped off for dead. He's sold into slavery. He's put in the most miserable position that he possibly could. But then God uses him to therefore create an opportunity for his family to therefore survive through that process. And we have this beautiful moment, right?
Yeah.
The same thing happened with his father before him, and it happened for his father before him. He's in these situations where, you know, Isaac's in the situation where I've got to sit there and I've got to work, and then I get cheated, and I got to spend another 7 years working for this wife that I love. But then I'm able to have this amazing family that therefore has generations upon generations, that they become the tribes of Israel. Not Isaac, Israel, which is Jacob. Sorry.
Jacob.
There we go. Isaac's his father.
Yeah.
And Isaac has his, right? Like, again, and then Abraham has his.
Yeah.
You look at Moses. Again, the story plays out over and over again that there is this drift from God, this drift from what God's intentions are, and God meets us where we are after that, and we create something beautiful from it. And then we fuck it up, but then we continue to move forward. It's this constant dance. And so as Christians, we are supposed to be doing that. And so when we look back at our memorial, and so yes, it's okay to sit there and say, yes, we've come from all of this awful stuff, but God has created some beautiful things out of it. And we can continue to build beautiful things out of this. And so how do we push for that moving forward? I think that's what we have to do.
Well, yeah, that's why. I mean, I don't feel good about where America is, but I'm not pessimistic either. So I don't think. I think a lot of Americans, including some of our closest friends, all believe that the way if America isn't the way it is now, then it's like some second-rate country when, everyone's going to struggle. And one, I don't believe that just economically, but two, just, I don't, again, to your point, like, no, something else will happen. We were a wonderful country before we were the empire, the post-war empire. We'll be fine. And even if we don't, maybe it's a moment where we come back to where we're supposed to be focused on, instead of where we're focused on now, which is the almighty dollar, really.
The hard part is the dollar now drives. So, like, as much as we talk shit about the United States being driven by the dollar, we also have to remember that all of the world's powers are now driven by the almighty dollar. So, like, even like China, that's like communistic or whatever, where they don't succumb to the dollar. They do.
They do. Well, that's changing right now. The dollar is being phased out as we speak. So,
I'm not necessarily talking about the dollar, but there is the concept of the.
You mean the pursuit of money?
Yeah, the pursuit of money is so.
Oh yeah,
economics has become, and I feel like this war in Iran has actually now put it to the forefront for Americans, where they are now realizing that this is the warfare. like this is where who will break first. And I mean, like, I don't feel like we could get off on a tangent on this ourselves, but I do think that, I don't know. I feel like people in the United States should almost feel a sense of security in their own, but that's almost dangerous to say out loud. You in America should feel both secure and insecure at the same time. You should feel secure in the fact that any enemy that the United States has still wants you as a consumer because of how.
Oh yeah, that's why China's not interested for a war.
China's
exactly. Interest is having China wants to surpass the United States in a lot of ways, so it can dictate things. But it very much relies on a healthy United States, one, so it can sell stuff to us, and two, it's literally bought a lot of our property. So, like, a crashing of the U.S. economy doesn't help. It still owns those assets. It doesn't help it to see those assets crashed. And what's been exposed by the Iran war is, we tell ourselves we have this international interconnected economy. And apparently nobody told the Trump administration that, because they're finding that out the hard way. But, Asia's taking it in the shorts. Well, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, Australia's. China's not, because they were kind of planning for this, it looks like. But again, Xi Jinping, when he met with Trump last week, came out and talked about the Thucydides trap, which is this. I can't remember the historian who came up with it. Basically, it's this rule that when there's a rising power and an ascending power and a descending power, war is almost always inevitable. And it's based on Athens and Sparta. And Xi Jinping brought it up, and people initially took that as a threat to the United States. And I saw the transcript and then saw the official translation of what he said. And I'm like, it wasn't a threat. It was warning of neither side wants, China doesn't want to see this. He was putting us on notice. We are ascending, you are descending, but we don't want to fall in the trap of going to war over this. There's no need to go over war with this. We both have sophisticated economies. We can duel this out in non-militaristic ways. It's just, unfortunately, we have a troglodyte as president, and he's mercurial, to say the least. So you just never know what you're going to get out of him. And then at the same time, everything's ratcheting up again. It might look like World War or Continental War in Europe. But that's a whole other side thing too. But
so all that to say, we got a lot going on. But again, I think us as Christians, we can still create amazing, awesome things out of it. In the United States, I think that we can still have it and be a part of this country and be proud of who we are, be proud of people that have laid down their lives for us, be proud of people that are currently laying down their lives for us. but sit there and still look for better solutions moving forward.
Yeah, you don't have to be bitter that someone died from a war that you didn't support or against or think was even worse than that. Don't let bitterness and all that get a hold of yourself, and don't think that their death, as long as humanity is, as long as Satan is in charge of princes and principalities, we're always going to have war, and countries are always going to war. And so we should mourn those who die, but not turn it, let's not let ourselves be taken over by cynicism and bitterness and anger and all that because of it. Let's mourn it. And like you said, let's try to then do things that we can do to try to prevent further death and trauma. Because, we don't even talk about all the broken, anyway, it's a somber. It was going to be a somber Memorial Day anyway, just because kind of the mood I'm in. But again, I'm not bitter. I'm not cynical. I'm not angry. But I think the older I get, and the less like Reagan Republican-esque, where I'm like waving the flag and Mount Hirabachi U.S. flag at Iwo Jima is the greatest moment of America. Like getting away from sort of that post World War II mythology, the more I think there's just a healthier just respect and that kind of thing. I still watched 2 or 3 war movies, but I didn't watch them like I was doing it out of respect. It wasn't like, yeah, America, war, let's go kick some ass. I watched 13 Hours of Benghazi, which that one is a little bit infuriating, but I need to see a little, what's his name from The Office, so main guy. Anyway.
Steve Carell.
No. Jim from The Office.
All right. Jack, not.
You know what I'm talking about. He's married to
Emily Blunt's
husband. I can never remember his name. It's always just Jim from The Office. I can never remember his name. I also saw him in the recent Tom Clancy movie on Prime.
I was about to say Jack Reacher, and I was like, that's not right. I was trying to think of the books. Yeah, it's Tom Clancy.
Anyway. Yeah, so we thank you for listening to this episode.
Something?
Huh?
Isn't it Ryan something or no?
No.
Oh.
Please subscribe, rate, review. Apparently Jeff sent us a comment a couple weeks ago, but I think it was just chiming in on something we said. I ended up finding the comment on Spotify. It'd be nice to know that I don't think we get any notifications for comments. So
what did Jeff say?
I have to find it. It wasn't anything earth-shattering, but he said, hey, I left a comment. I think it was a funny comment, something we'd said or something. But anyway.
Well, I wanted to hear it.
But yeah, so.
I miss you, Jeff.
Thanks for listening, and John Krasinski, you can go to hell.